Test, 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 test. Alright. Test, 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 test. I can't hear anything. Test. Test. Yeah, I can't hear anything. He's at work. Anything. Let me try again. Test, test. He's at work. Let me try again. Test, test. In. He says he can hear me, but I can't hear me. He says he can hear me. Oh. Alright, I got it now. I can't hear me. Alright. Alright. Okay. I think we're good now.
Yay. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Happy 2024.
Oh, 2024. Oh my gosh.
2023 flew by so fast.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to writing 2024. Every time I had to write the date, I pause 2024.
Yeah, it's always the toughest.
All right.
But welcome, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Hopefully everybody started off as good as they can get.
Yeah. Hope everybody had a good 2023. But yeah. So we're back at it again with another stream. Let's see, before we start off, anything new with you, Mason?
No, not really. Just, work and stuff. Been reading, writing a little bit, things like that.
Me too. Like, this month I felt more productive than I have been all of 2023. So
That's good.
I feel good. Yeah, like obviously like I'm not writing as much as I want to, but I'm slowly getting there, trying to get the rhythm back. But yeah, so far going by good.
That's good. Yeah, same as me. I went back to one of my old stories and I just wrote like beginning, middle, and end without worrying about like grammar and all that.
That's good. That's like hard. That's hard to do.
Yeah, I just wanted to get like I just wanted to write the main parts and then worry about the fillers later.
That's good. That's hard to do. Because like I always like reread what I wrote and then I'm like, no, like I have to change that. That's like, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, that's what usually stops me from writing. I'm like, I'll just worry about this later. I'm gonna take a break.
Yeah, that's good. That we're back into writing. What else? I think other than that, pretty much my January. I didn't really leave the house that much. And there was like a lot of rain this past like week.
Oh yeah, that was
Like
weird.
that was like the rain that we got last week was like worse than that so-called, what was it, hurricane that we had a few
That's
months ago.
what I said. I was like, why is this worse than the hurricane like week? Like,
I know that hurricane scare.
yeah, every there was like, I mean, I know it's not a good thing, but
Yeah.
still, like, how come we didn't get the hurricane warning this past weekend when like everyone was so scared about like what is that last was it last month?
The hurricane?
Yeah.
I think it was like November, October-ish.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh, we're all getting water and stuff, like to prepare ourselves for whatever reason, and then nothing happens.
Yeah. Oh, something new. Lee Lee wanted me to tell you that he got me this new chair. So
Oh wow.
yeah, I guess.
What
Yeah.
is it? What
I
model it?
IKEA
Oh.
straight back.
Okay, okay.
He's like, tell Amber I got you a new chair. I got you good. Okay, I told her.
How you liking it?
Oh, it's way better than the gaming chair that my back thanks me.
That's
Mm-hmm.
good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Lee.
Mm.
If you're listening.
Oh, yeah. And he got me
Mm,
like a small ottoman for under my desk so I can put my feet up. Like I can crisscross as well.
wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
I know. I was like, if I can't get that ADHD chair, then I need something.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that ADHD chair. And the crisscross chair. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I'm still on my wish list. AJ. So, um, but yeah, anyways, I guess let's get this started. Um, so during the last stream, the prompts we picked out were an enemies to lovers, a standalone, and a thriller slash mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And this time around, we're gonna change up the what's it called? Or switch things up. We're going to start off with our least favorite reads of the month to our most liked reads of the month, and then we'll just bring up what's enemies to lovers and all that as we go.
Sounds good.
So changing up the feng shui a little bit.
I had to. So, full disclosure, when you told me this ahead of time, I was like, ah, shit. I had to, like, luckily, luckily, I was keeping track of all the books I was reading. But then, like, when you told me like, oh, let's do least favor, I'm like, ah, shit, I don't remember like most of the like the beginning books that I read. Like I totally forgot like what happened, so I had to like do a quick review. I had to make a list, and I had to make another list, and then make a list of that list. I was like, okay, so I have like this, and I have this, and I have my Kindle already.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I need to put this in order so I know where to start from, because if I just like willy-nilly like wait did I like this book?
I know, like, luckily I have like 2 apps that I use to like track what I read, so thankfully that came in pretty clutch.
Nice.
But,
I know. I was looking at my Goodreads. I'm like, it's not really updated yet, so I didn't fully update the books that I read. and did so. I was like, might as well. And I like writing it down. It makes me remember a little better.
Good. Old school.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess what's your lowest star rating?
Okay.
Like, is it like, is it a 1 star? We'll just go, like, we'll figure out who goes first based off of that.
Okay. So I was being nice. Okay. So my my least rated is 1.5.
Okay, you can go first.
I was being nice. I don't even know. I was deciding if I should it should be 1 star or 1.5. Okay. So, all right, I have two 1.5 star rating, but I will start with the one that I really did not like out of those, and it was Wisteria Witches. I don't know if you
Okay.
can see it, but the cover
A
is,
little bit.
yeah, it's a really cute cover. It's totally a cover read.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when I picked up this book, I realized it was like a 13 book series, I think.
Oh,
I
God.
might be wrong. Might be less, might be more, but I feel like that's a good number. 13 or 14 books. So it's about okay. So this book is kind of like Gilmore Girls meets The Good Witch. I don't know if you've ever heard of The Good Witch. It's like this Hallmark show about this modern day witch living in a small town with her daughter,
Okay.
whatever, and her daughter's like a witch too. And then Gilmore Girls, mother daughter relation, that mother daughter relationship between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what that reminded me of because the main character is a mom who moves to a new small town with her daughter, and then they have this relationship just like Rory Gilmore and Lorelai Gilmore, where like they're like the best of friends and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then they realize that something like weird is going on in that small town, especially the house that they live in or they moved into, and it turns out like it's haunted by this ghost, like the woman who died in there. And it turns out that the main character is a witch, and hear she can have you ever watched that show, The Ghost Whisper,
I've
with
heard of
Jennifer
it.
Love Hewitt, and she could talk to go.
Oh, I've seen the trailers.
So yeah, so she has the ability to speak to ghosts by having them possess her body.
Mm, okay.
So yeah, so and there's like a mystery going on about the house, about why they moved there, and there's like werewolves, and there's like, well, not werewolves, well, there's werewolves, but there's other animal shifters there, like birds and other other feline creatures. I don't know. But yes, that's essentially what that book is about. I gave it a 1.5 star because of the the way it was written. What is that called? The prose? Is that what it is? The prose?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was all over the place. Like there was so much scene jumping. I had no idea what was going on. Like there was this one part where like, oh, she passed out, and the next chapter she's having breakfast with her daughter, with and like they pay no attention to that until like couple of page later. I'm like, what?
Mm.
Did I did I read this correctly? So I would have to like jump back. I'm like, wait, blah blah blah. Like, okay, okay, and then keep reading. Like, oh, now that they're worried about her passing out. I'm like, there was like so many times like that happened. Like when she passes out, that's when the ghost takes over her body.
Mm-hmm.
But she brushes it off like oh, it's not important right now. It's important that my daughter, like, I have a good relationship with my daughter, that she doesn't hate this and blah blah. I'm like, girl, you're getting possessed by ghosts.
I know. That should be like your one of your top priorities.
Mm-hmm. And then like she always makes it a point, like she wants to have a good relationship with her daughter, even though her daughter's like in the wrong. Her She won't like reprimand her. She'll be like, okay, we're friends, like that, that friend, like, you know
Mm-hmm.
parents who want to be friends with their kids when that kid needs like a parental figure, like,
Yeah.
um but yeah, that was just like, this is I was just basically skimming at, like, at this point I was like, okay, blah 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 blah. I was like, why does this book have, like, this series have so many like high rated stars? Like, I get the premise. The premise is cute, but
Mm-hmm.
okay.
But
But like, why? Why?
how it was put together.
Yeah. I mean, I was so confused about what I was reading that I was just like over it. I was like, I just want this to end already. I was like, and
So it's safe to say you're not continuing on with the
no, I'm
series.
not. I am not. Mm-mm. And I thought I
Okay.
would like it too because, well, in the beginning I did. I was like, oh, okay, this reminds me of Gilmore Girls. That's nice. But they didn't get to the major plot until like maybe the last third of the book, and they rushed through it.
Jeez.
So I was
That's
like,
never
ugh.
good.
I was like, It was just a bunch of like, oh, the ghost wants me to do this. Oh, the ghost wants to have a party. Oh, the ghost wants me to wear this dress. I'm like, you okay? Okay. Sure. Just do what the ghost wants.
Oh my
But don't worry
gosh.
about it. It's not important that the ghost is possessing you. All you care about is your daughter and your neighbor.
Oh my gosh.
Your hot.
Wow. What?
So,
What?
yes. 1.5. I'm being nice.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my first is a 2-star. I was probably being nice too. Um, so called A Spindle Splintered, by Alex E. Haro. Um, I remember seeing this on BookTube like a couple years back, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." And then like I never saw it again on BookTube, and I was like, "Now I know why." Um, so if you don't know, Alex E. Haro um, recently wrote The Starling House, which is going viral
Mm-hmm.
on in the book world. So I was like, okay, like let me pick up this one. And so this one, it's so it's about a girl named Zinnia Gray,
Okay.
and when she was young, she developed a rare condition that um, it was only projected for her to live up to maybe like 21 years old. And so, um, because of this illness, uh, like she grew a liking to Sleeping Beauty because she felt she related to her the most growing up. And so she kind of just like had an obsession with all the Sleeping Beauty fairy tales and stuff. She went to school, like studying all the stories, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, so it's safe to say she's obsessed with Sleeping Beauty. And so by the time her 21st birthday comes around, her best friend throws her a Sleeping Beauty themed party. And so she goes all out with the decorations. She even has like a spinning wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And so, after like when the night dies and they're gonna wrap up the party, our main character pricks herself on the spinning wheel and she's teleported to a fantasy world where there's a Sleeping Beauty. And so, yeah, so that's pretty much the story. And since she's like an expert with the stories, she tries to save Sleeping Beauty from, her fate, to not like prick herself and, the story.
Yes.
So, I give it a 2. And it's mainly because, like, 12 years ago, I wrote something that was very similar to this in the sense that it's a portal fantasy with my friends. And so you can imagine my dialogue being modern, like modern world dialogue
Yeah.
with our curse words and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, our slang. So it's pretty much that dialogue in this Sleeping Beauty fantasy world. And so the main character talks like how we talk, but maybe even worse in this world. And I don't know, it's just like it really took me out of the fairy tale vibe. And, she was able to use her cell phone in this world to like text her friend what's going on.
What?
And it just was not, it was not it. Um,
I would assume you would get no cell service in a fantasy world.
like, I guess like how it works is that she's just in a different dimension within the same world. I don't know. But yeah. And then so you can imagine how a story kind of unfolds. Um and just like when I started reading this, I was so confused as to what was going on. I thought this was like a nonfiction because like the main character was like spitting facts about like the Sleeping Beauty stories and all that and like how many Sleeping Beauty stories there were, and I was like, am I reading like some sort of like nonfiction thing about like where Sleeping Beauty was like based off of or whatever?
Wow.
Yeah, I was just like confused. And then yeah, the dialogue was so bad.
I know, like I.
And
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, go for it.
No, I was like, that's like the thing. Every time I read a fantasy book, it's like it's kind of like medievally kind of vibe where everyone talks like kind of fancy-ish. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be hearing modern language in like in a fantasy world where they should be talking like British medieval language.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't I like every time I hear the word like oh shit fuck in like a fantasy I'm like
Yeah.
ah,
Like it just like brought me back to like all those movies that came out while I was growing up. I forgot what they were called. Like there was one where it was like the main I forgot what his name was, but he was like a black knight and like he was teleported to this medieval like world and he was like wearing a jersey and everything. What was it called?
mm,
And he was like crushing on the princess or whatever.
I
And,
don't remember.
yeah, so he's just like a ghetto knight in like this medieval world. There's like a bunch of other ones.
Yeah. But
Um,
well anyways, it's just
yeah,
weird.
yeah, um, yeah. So it was just like how it started off that threw me off. The dialogue and the words used and just like the overall like how it panned out, like how the story ended and stuff just didn't work for me.
I get it. I get it. All right. Okay, so my next low star rating, which was a 1.5, um was oh my gosh, I might get a lot of hate for this, but this is unpopular opinion. Fall of Ruin and Wrath.
I think I've heard of that.
Yes, it's kind of like it's a new release. When did it come out? It just came out like a few months ago. I don't know. Let me see.
Who's it by?
It is from Jennifer L. Armentrout. She is the
Oh.
same writer as the Blood and Ash, all that other stuff. I've read some of her other works. I did just read. I don't know if you guys remember, but I read uh was it? It's in here. No, I don't have it here. But whatever. I read her other. I read the third book of the Blood and Ash series, and I hated it, and I was ranting about it so hard, and I said I was never gonna finish that series ever again because it's just bad. I don't know why I thought differently, but this book sucks too.
Dang.
Okay. I feel like after I read this book, I was like, okay, that's it. I can't read any more from this author. I think I've outgrown her. Like, I cannot. I like the premise. So, it is fantasy, of course. It is about a girl who has a heightened intuition. That's basically she's basically has the sense of premonition, right? But they call it intuition. So it's that little voice in your head that tells you, oh, that's wrong, or you should stop doing that, or you should maybe go there. You know, that little voice in your head?
Mhm.
So that's her, but her intuition is cranked up where it's basically her telling the future. Like, oh, like you should stop and listen, and then she would listen to it and it worked out in her favor. Works out in her favor. So okay. So she lives in this kingdom. She is a courtesan of this lord. A courtesan is just another word for concubine. And she her basic her one job is just to is just to see use her intuition to help the Lord. So if someone's lying, she can tell. If someone's has bad intentions, she could tell. So their kingdom is being controlled by the dominions,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just another word for demons or whatever. And these are special kind of demons. They're kind of like, okay, the way that they're described, I feel like they're succubus.
Lee says, "Damn, Mia's mad already."
Succubi, is that the plural for succubus? They're succubi. They
Okay.
feed off pleasure, right? So that's how they feed, is they, do the bam
Mm-hmm.
bam, and then they feed
Mm-hmm.
off the pleasure that resonates from them. What is that word? um but yeah, so she is she is tasked to keep company with the prince, and the prince is it's a hot mess. Like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, they're under attack or something, or they're going to be under attack, and she's her her emotions are conflicted. She doesn't know if she likes him or if she likes her lord, and she has this brother type person that she needs to take care of. I don't know, but like, I was just at that point I was like, I want to be done. I don't think I'm explaining this book correctly.
Yikes! Yeah,
Wait.
Lee says she's practically seething with anger. Yes.
I don't even I didn't even know what to write. My notes, I only have two things. Over explanation and good plot. That's it. The only thing I liked about it was the premise, and what I hated about it was the over explanation of things. That was it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, it took forever for the love interest to show up. Like, it took like maybe, well, I mean, the love interest showed up in like the first or second chapter, but he didn't come back until maybe like 5 6 chapters later. And she hardly spent any time with him, but now she's in love with him, and he wants her around, and he's the type of, oh, touch her and die.
Die. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah.
Wait, what did you rate it? 1.5?
Yep. I was being nice.
Eh.
I just, like, I was sitting here, I was like, which book did I hate the most? This book or with the Wisteria Witches? I was like, I only put this up higher because it was like more fantasy driven. Like, the other one was barely like a trickle of fantasy, like a trickle of magic. This was like full on fantasy. Now I'm definitely not getting the second book. And this was my special edition. This was mailed to me.
No.
So I'm definitely not. I like the cover, but I'm not getting the second book for sure. Look at that. That's a nice.
Yeah. Sprayed edges.
All right, let's move on. I can't think about that book. I'm done with that book.
All right. So I have another 2-star. Um, so I read The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Kah. So this is a dark twist on a typical mermaid story. Our mermaid, she marries a man who completely abuses her, and one day she is joined by a plague doctor here, and she takes revenge on her husband's kingdom, and like she destroys the kingdom with the help of her daughters. It's very gory. Like, you read the trigger warnings, and then later on, while her daughters, like ravish the kingdom, she's on the run with the plague doctor, and they encounter a village that's kind of like a cult in the forest, and they have to depend on their true natures to survive. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It like, don't get me wrong, like it was written very beautifully, but like I was reading some reviews online just to see if I was the only one who thought this, but like a lot of people thought this. So this would have been a good story if this author didn't try to use every possible Scrabble word out there. Like, she used so many big words, like unfamiliar words. Like, usually, like, I could figure out what a word is by like the surrounding context and whatnot, or like breaking down the word. But then I was like, damn, like she's using like three words in a sentence to describe like how our characters are like feeling and stuff. And I was like, what's going on? Like, I understand what was going on, but like I didn't understand like their emotions for each other because it's like a love story between the two. So I was like, I feel like,
It's like she was picking like three random words from a Webster dictionary.
yeah, it was just like, you like, it kind of sucks when you have to like stop reading and look it up, like to do that so often. And I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that. Like, this book made me feel dumb. Um,
Oh,
but yeah,
it's
um,
never a good sign.
yeah, it's like it would have been good if she didn't use that many like upscale words. Like, you could tell she went to like the good colleges and stuff, but
Or maybe she just
damn.
had the thesaurus on hand. She's like, what? How else can you say blah blah? And then she picked the biggest word.
I know, like, yeah, true. And like her prose is like top notch. Like, it's beautiful, but dang, you lost me with all those big words. But yeah, like, I don't know if like anybody's interested. Yeah, just read the trigger warnings. It's very gory, very there's cannibalism, there's self-cannibalism. Just take that into, you know, before you pick it up.
All right. So my next book, I gave it a 2.5. Yeah, we're in the twos now. Um,
Okay.
so I read. Wait, I can't see it. I can see your reflection.
Okay.
um, Satan's Affair. So it's a short. It's like a novella. It's a short book. Less. It's like less than 150 pages. Very fast
Mhm.
read. So it's a like a horror, gory book. It's not really of a thriller because it's the POV of the serial killer, her. So
Mhm.
she's a serial killer. She's the one who goes around killing eve demons in the form of people. Um, she works at this traveling circus or traveling fair to be exact. Called to The fair is called Satan's Affair. It's a traveling fair.
Okay.
They specialize in horror. They specialize in haunted houses, things like that. And every Halloween, they travel around the U.S. Um, it's like a pop up carnival. Um, and so this girl, she travels with them, but it sounds like she's traveling with them in secret, or that she pretends that she works with them, and she has these henchmen that are with her always. And so her special ability is that she can smell rot. Like she can smell the evil rot coming from people, and that's how she knows that they need to die. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so innocent people to her smell like flowers, and then evil people smell like rotten eggs. And
Oh.
in her head, she thinks she's doing the world a favor by secretly killing these evil people that escape the justice system. So basically, like rapists, criminals, like abusers, things like that. So she doesn't go, like, she only kills them if they happen upon her haunted house. After, like, once they enter her haunted house, she's like, okay, all bets are off. That's her target. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's like not really a plot twist. It's you get what you get. Like it's basically whatever you like, what you read from the plot, like the summary. That's what you're basically reading. There's no surprises. You're watching or you're reading her point of view of why she kills, and like how she started and all that stuff. So there's not really a happy ever after in this book. It's just like, I mean, spoiler alert, she gets caught eventually, but um, yeah, like it's just, should I spoil it? I don't think you're gonna read it, but um, like eventually it turns out that like she's insane, which kind of makes sense. She's going around killing people,
Mm.
and she thinks that she's saving the world by killing these people. So she has savior's complex. Is that what it's called?
So it's like similar concepts to like Death Note, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's a good comparison. She's basically she's basically light light Yagami. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but light Yagami used a death note. She's using a knife. Stab, stab, stab. And she's using her henchmen to kidnap these people and helps her kill them. But turns out, since she's insane, those henchmen were never real. It was just all of her imagination. The killing part was real. It's just everything else outside of the killing part was just in her head.
Okay.
But there are like a lot of trigger warnings in this book, like cults and rape and abuse and um, child trafficking, all that. So
Mm-hmm.
be warned. Um, yeah, that's like why I gave it a 2.5, because like it wasn't my cup of tea. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
read it because I was like, okay. I was thinking of the the prompts that we had to read, and I was like, okay, I'll just read it. It got a bunch of good ratings, but I should have known. But yeah, Satan's Affair.
Okay.
So like,
Interesting.
yeah, she's supposed to look like a doll.
Oh, that's creepy.
All right.
Uh, all right. My another 2-star read.
Oh.
So I forced myself to try again. So I initially DM'd this book. Like, I don't think I meant to. I just DNF'd it, but like there was a lot of sexy time scenes. And, you know, I stopped when I kind of had enough of the sexy time scenes. And so I picked it up again, thinking, you know, maybe the worst is over. There's a lot more sexy time scenes, but anyways, if you don't know, Red, White, and Royal Blue, it's a very popular book.
They made a show about it.
Or a movie.
Or a movie, yeah, that's right.
It's about the first son of the United States and a prince of England, and you know, they initially had bad first impressions of each other, and then the media always compared the two men together, and eventually they just grew to not like each other. Like, they hated each other because of all that and always being compared. And so during a royal wedding, in it was, I guess, his brother's royal wedding, there was an altercation between these two, and it took up the front pages of newsstands everywhere. And so to save face, our characters were forced to stage a friendship, so like as a punishment, because if they continue to like obviously not like each other, that's gonna hurt British American relations. So yeah, so it's kind of like a fake friendship turn dating trope. Enemies so this is my enemies to lovers book. And yeah, so initially, like, you know, with the whole faking a friendship, that part was funny. Like, their banter is hilarious. And I think they got together like within the first third of the book, and then after that it was just like sexy time. Like, they went at it like rabbits, like everywhere they
So wait, let's just be clear. Like, you don't care that it's male and male. You just it's hard for you to read sexy times. That's why you barely read spicy books. Like, it's very hard for you to read spicy books. That's all we're saying.
I don't like reading smut.
Yeah,
like reading smut is kind of cringy to me.
So it doesn't matter the orientation of the person. You just can't read smut. So we just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
AveryWolfe cannot read smut. It is very hard for her. So she has no qualms about.
Yeah. Like, thank you for clarifying that.
Just for clarifying that, okay? I know her, okay? She every time you read a spicy, smutty book, she hates it. It doesn't matter what it is. She hates smut books. Well, maybe hate is a strong word, but she really prefers not to read it.
Like, the first few scenes, they were tolerable, they were cute, but as time went on, they just kept doing it at all these like events, and I'm just like,
this is not the right time to be doing it.
I know, it's like where's the plot? Like, can we go back to the plot and then take out the sexy time? The plot is so political. Like, I don't mind politics in like fantasy stories, like worlds that are not ours, but if it's like American politics, it kind of like bums me out.
Because it could be real, right? Like, it's realistic fiction.
Yeah, so it bums me out. And so, like, yeah, what I really liked about this book was like the sort of slow burn at the beginning and their banter was like adorable and whatnot. But yeah, like after the first few times they go at it, like like that's why I DNF'd it like the first time. But yeah, if you don't mind, if you're a smut reader, you'll probably like this a lot. But with me, like reading smut is like cringy because it's like the word use.
Yeah.
So it's the words used that are cringy for me.
It's not for
So
everybody.
yeah. 2-star.
But I mean, at least you finished it, right? You finished the book.
Yeah.
You can check that off your list.
Oh, was it worth? But
Just another book talk book that let you down. What else is new?
Yeah.
All right. So how many stars should I give this next book? This next book, oh, I gave it a 3.5 stars. So we're getting up there. It is Does It Hurt? It is the same author as the Satan's Affair book. But this is a ghost thriller. I think this was the first book that I read that that met all the prompts. And I read this in the beginning of the month. So it's a ghost thriller. You know, you should be proud of me. I read a thriller. So it's about a girl who's on the run from the law, and then she steals identity. So she does commit identity theft, which is a big no. It's very bad. Don't do that. So the way she does it is that she she finds a guy that she knows has money and that's kind of dumb and unaware of their identity being stolen for a while. So she's in this, I think they're New Zealand, or I think New Zealand or Australia. I know it's somewhere in Europe. I think I'm wrong. Sorry, I'm
New Zealand or Australia?
I think it's Australia. I'm sorry, I have very, very bad with geography, but I know those are two different countries. Okay, I know they're two different continents. Yes. So she meets a guy. She has instant connection. She sleeps with him, and then she steals his identity. The guy finds out right away, is super pissed, and then totally hates her. So it kind of trickles to enemies to lovers because they both hate each other. So he tricks her into getting on his boat, and then they get shipwrecked on this island where like a unknown island, and then there's like a lighthouse, you know, those creepy lighthouses that creepy islands have. So they have to stay there for a while, and there's this creepy lighthouse keeper dude, and they hear noises up in the attic. They're trapped. There's a storm. They hear noises. They hear like groaning. They see like ghosts and all that. And so as they hate each other, they try to survive. They try to get off the island before killing each other. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. I like the plot. I like the enemies to lovers part. I mean, it's in the name, enemies to lovers. They end up together. And they try to solve the mystery of what's making the noises above. Like, they have to try to find their way up to the actual light what is it called? The where the light shines, the top of the lighthouse.
Oh, I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
So they have to try to get up there, but they can't find the stairs for the that lighthouse part. I don't know what it's called. Um, and the guy is being super creepy, and he's starting to get up. The lighthouse keeper is starting to get obsessive over the female main character. So that's another thing they have to watch out for, and um, and yeah, that and I don't know if I should say like what thriller part was, but let's say it's a ghost thriller, you guys. Ghost, ghosts.
Okay.
I don't want to give
What's
too much away, but I don't know.
Yeah, usually you like shouldn't give too much away with
Yeah,
thrillers.
yeah.
What did you rate it?
I gave it a 3.5
Okay.
because like it was kind of predictable. I kind of guessed it like halfway through after more information. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. And then when it was revealed, I was like, oh yeah, I totally knew that. Um, I think you would like the plot, but I don't think you would like the content. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. All right. But yes, 3.5.
Okay. Okay, so my next book is a 3-star, so we're in the threes for me. Oh, this was such a disappointment.
7-year slip.
The 7-year slip. So this is the same author as my 5-star read Dead Romantics the other month.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so this is like a companion novel. The characters in the other book like have a they show up very briefly. But yeah, so the 7-year slip is about a magical apartment that will unexpectedly take you back 7 years should you ever find yourself at a crossroads in your life. And so we follow Clementine. She she obtains this magical apartment in her aunt's will, and she never believed her aunt's stories about the apartment and like, you know, going back in time and whatnot, until one day she's taken back 7 years, and when she's taken back, there's a man that is subletting her aunt's apartment while her aunt is traveling, and then romance ensues. And there we go. So this wasn't a favorite of mine. Like, I loved the concept. It kind of reminded me of, I think it's called The Glass House with Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves. Yeah, Keanu Reeves.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that movie was so cute. There was another movie that had, oh, I guess like sorta time traveler's wife a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It gave those vibes. But this just didn't work for me. Like I couldn't connect with the characters. Like I didn't feel sorry for the main character. Like, yeah, like she's dealing with grief. I get that. Like, yeah, I feel sorry about that with her aunt's passing, but like the other things going on in her life, like I didn't see like anything. Like she has a job in publishing that I thought she liked. Like she was saying like good things about like, the books that they publish and like all that, and the people she works with. She works with her best friends and all that. But I guess like it's not what she wanted overall. But anyways, yeah, and it was like a good paying job too, and she's gonna get a promotion to run like the she's gonna be like the director something of what's it called? Like a director of like some department within the publishing house. Whatever. But like yeah, that seems like a pretty dream job to me. But yeah, I guess for her it's not what she's always wanted to do, I guess. I guess she always wanted to paint or whatever.
Dude, I would
But
want her
yeah,
job.
yeah, I was like, dude, publishing and then like all of your connections with books, whatever. But yeah. So aside from that, we do have a love interest where she meets him 7 years before the present time. So when she goes back in time, she's her current age and he's 7 years younger. So when she goes back in time, he's like 25 and she's 29 currently. And so, obviously, like, there's an altercation, like, oh, who are you? What are you doing in my apartment? Blah, blah, blah. They resolve that, and then, you know, the romance part ensues, and I just felt that it, like, happened so fast. Like, they only had one real like dinner together in the apartment, and then the next day they were like swooning for each other like right when he came through the door. And yeah, there's like a one bed trope in this. It's a closed door romance, fade to black. So I thought I would like this. Like, but
Did
yeah,
it
I
meet
just
your expectations?
yeah, I couldn't connect with the characters. Like the romance didn't seem special to me, and we didn't really get to hang out with the guy in the present time. It's like I don't know, it just didn't work for me.
You
Like
guys, this is Amber being mad. This is Avery being mad at a book.
I just I had high hopes.
I'm surprised it's not lower. What did you give it, a 3.3? This is a 3 star or 3.5?
So like I typically rate books 3 stars if they're fine.
Okay.
Like if there's nothing wrong with like the prose, the dialogue, there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just fine to me. Like fours, like I really enjoyed it. Fives, I absolutely love. And so like 2 stars are typically books that annoy me.
I don't know. This
Like
book sounded like it annoyed you.
well, like it annoyed me because I had high expectations.
Okay.
So that's like the only reason. Like I had high expectations that I would love the characters and like I would want them to be together, but it is what it is.
It is what it
but
is.
yeah, this book does have like high ratings. A lot of people did love it. It just didn't
Wasn't
work
for you.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7 years slipped, guys.
7 years. Give it a chance and read it. If you like
yeah.
it.
It's a cool concept, but like do with that what you
Lee's
will.
like, damn, Amber's mad now. I'm like, yes. That's her being mad.
Yeah.
I know, it's so tame compared to me. Okay, so my next 3.5 star read is a fantasy book. Surprise, surprise. Kingdom of Blood and Salt.
Okay.
Pretty cover.
Yeah.
So, the so it's kind of, it wasn't mentioned in this in like the summary or when I was reading about this book. It's kind of a retelling of what is it, Theseus and the Minotaur, you know, that Greek story. about
Oh yeah.
yeah.
We know
So
that one well.
yes. Um so it's kind of like that retelling, but before Theseus went to kill the Minotaur is like, when they were when um they had to sacrifice 7, or what is it, 14
Yeah, it's kids. Was
kids
it
or
kids?
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So for this one, like, they have to um this kingdom has to sacrifice 14 of their people to this kingdom that rules them all. Oh, fake kingdom, yeah. So this kingdom of humans have to sacrifice 14 of their humans to the fake kingdom so they don't get attacked, or they still get their protection from other creatures, more dangerous creatures. So so every 14 years, the Fae comes of a delegation of Fae comes to the human kingdom to pick up their humans. And the main character, she's kind of like the illegitimate daughter of the king, the human king. So she is tasked to keep them company, or to help them like around the kingdom, which sucks for her because she doesn't like them. She hates it when the humans have to be sacrificed. But she is the daughter of the king, so she has to listen. um, and it's not like one of those like, oh, since she's the illegitimate daughter, everybody hates her. Like, she is revered as one of the favorites of the king, even though she's illegitimate. The only person that hates her is the stepmother, which of course makes sense. Um, but yeah, so she's tasked. Um, she's like hanging out with the main lord. She's
Good.
so she's hanging out with the main guy, her love interest, I guess you can say, because it's kind of obvious. And of course, they butt heads, but then the more they spend time, romance ensues, like you said.
Yeah.
and and yeah, and then things go from there. It's it's like a steamy, very slow burn romance. Like, there's a lot of like, will they, won't they, and it kind of happens later in the book, but I wouldn't say it's on the high chili pepper scale. But I mean, the romance is there, which is, it's kind of, the romance is okay. Like, honestly, it kind of was in the back of my mind, which is usually surprising to me. Like, I usually like reading the romance part, but
Mm.
um I was actually paying more attention to the political side. I really don't like reading political storylines, political plots, because it kind of bores me. But it was kind of like a low stakes, um, like, yeah, kind of like a low stakes, high reward type of thing. Um, I mean, yeah, there's still like strife and possibility of war that might
Mm.
happen, but I mean, it wasn't like, it wasn't like epic, or it wasn't, it was easy to follow through, easy to follow. uh, you know what I'm saying? Like, how in Game of Thrones, like, all the political stuff that was going on, it was kind of like it kind of like, it was up there and it was hard to follow, and like, wait, who's
Yeah.
the king now? And wait, why are they gonna die, or why are they enemy number one? And who's the next, who's gonna sit on
Mm-hmm.
the throne? Like, things like
Yeah.
that, like, very high stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I can't read stuff like that. That's why it's like hard for me to read Brandon Sanderson, because it's a lot of it is like that. um especially since it's epic and high fantasy. So it's very hard for me to like stay focused on that. So that was kind of like this book, Kingdom of Blood and Salt, is like a toned down version. Like I can I can follow whatever the author, I can follow it. Oh, I can't. It's hard for me to talk. I can't. I'm very bad at this. Sorry, you guys. I have feelings.
It's a usual. It's a achievement to follow the politics when it comes to reading.
Yeah, especially fantasy politics. Come on. When magic is involved, oy, that's a whole different ball game. Ball game.
So, speaking of boring politics, I have another 3-star.
Oh, my gosh. Lee's gonna hate you. He's gonna be so mad.
Okay, so this is Elantris. Everybody loves this book. They rave about it. Okay, so this is Sanderson's entry into the Cosmere. This came out like 2005, so I was like, okay. It came out a while back, so I'm gonna go easy on it, okay? So, okay, so Elantris. So Elantris is, or was, this beautiful city where these godlike people with magical power, like like powerful magical abilities resided. But, um, so like Elantrians were all once human, but they undergo a magical transformation called the Sheo that turns them human into these Elantrian people. So these godlike people. But like however the magic that was transforming them into Elantrians kind of failed. And instead of turning them into these godlike people, they were turning them into these people that were like leper-like. And like they couldn't do magic anymore. They were like very weak. They're very like it looked like they were hit with the plague. And so and like another thing about this failed transformation is that like if they were to get hurt in any way, like for example if like you stub your toe, like you'll feel that for eternity. So
Okay.
it's like eternal damnation. Like you get a paper cut, it sucks. And like if you took like a fatal blow to the head or something, like you wouldn't be able to like act normally. You just like be in total agony for the rest of your life and you can't do anything. So pretty much what this like plague like transformation did to these people. And so
Okay.
in this story we follow like 3 different point of views. Our main like protagonist is the Prince of Erelon. Nate, and he's what's his name? His name is Rayoden, and he gets affected by the Sheod. And when people get affected by the Sheod, they are instantly banished to Elantris. So so they essentially like quarantine everybody in Elantris that has this leper-like condition. So people outside of Elantris could still be affected by the Sheod, and if they are caught with the illness, they are instantly banished to Elantris to live out the rest of eternity. So Prince Raoden is affected by the Raod, and regardless of being the prince, he's banished to Elantris. And so we kind of follow him as as he tries to figure out like what's going on, like how do the people in Elantris work now, like with their illnesses and whatnot, just like stuff like that. And he's just trying to make sense of it, like trying to find a way to like help everybody and like to get out ultimately. And then we have another character we follow, Sereni. Sereni is his fiance, but considering that he was affected by the Sheod, he was pronounced dead. And their marriage contract in Erelon, if somebody dies before the wedding, they're automatically married.
What?
So, because Prince Raiden supposedly died, she is now like a princess of Erelon, and she's kind of stuck there. And then, as we follow her throughout the story, like her point of view is mainly like politics and whatnot. And there's so many characters introduced in her point of view. It's kind of like overwhelming. But yeah, and then we have a third point of view. His name is like Varathan or something. He's a priest that came to Erelon, and he's trying to push a religion onto the people. And his goal is to have everybody believe this religion before his emperor comes to Elantris. Okay, so let's see. My chat is filling up here. Okay, not gonna lie, I was okay with the Elantris, so I'm not mad. Basically COVID. Yeah, basically COVID, but like worse
Who was that?
illness. Lee.
Oh.
So yeah, so I was easy on this because it is his first entry. And I think this was his first published work. I know he wrote things before this, but this is his actual first published work. Yeah, this is not for me. Like, I couldn't care for the characters. Like, I don't know, they're all like kind of boring. Like, there are some side characters that were interesting, but like I just couldn't connect with the characters. I couldn't feel like the romance happening, like, I don't know. And just like Sereni, the princess, is annoying. She's so like she's okay, so like she's a tall girl. She's 6 feet tall, and she's like intelligent and outspoken, and that's why men don't want to marry her. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so rough. Like, it sucks to be tall and intelligent, and like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I was like, I didn't like how that was like a big thing about her character. Like, I could see, like, in Game of Thrones, Brienne, like, I could see why you feel sorry for her.
Yeah.
But I don't feel sorry for this girl. Because apparently she's still, like, pretty and whatnot. It's just, oh my god, she's 6 feet tall. Okay. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a lot of politics. Not a lot happens. Oh, magic system. You just draw like characters, like writing like this ancient like Elantrian language. You write it, and you got to be like precise with the lines for it to work.
Like you write it in
That's
the air.
yeah. So you just write it, and then it lights up, and then bam. Like
Imagine getting back. Wait, give me a second.
it's like, dang it, dang
Wait, wait,
it.
wait, wait. Stop right there.
It's like I gotta get this right or else I'm dead. It's like dang it.
That's funny. All
But yeah,
right.
Elantris, there you go. 3 stars. I mean, if you like politics and like okay, so yeah, Brandon Sanderson is good with like he's known for like his epic fantasy stories and like his unique magic systems,
And his
his
world
world
building.
building, but like I feel like he kind of falls flat with the character work and just like making you feel for the characters. That's just my opinion.
Same as
But
mine.
yeah, it's like I need that connection. Like I need to see that character growth for me to be invested with the story that and epic and intense. So okay, let's look at the chat again. I agree. Plus, his writing style was still developing that early. Pretty much Brandon overloaded us with stuff on his first book. Yeah, I agree. It was like a lot of info dumping and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, he is Brandon Sanderson for a reason. Like his writing got better. Some of his like the Cosmere. That's like how many book? That's like
Yeah.
that's a lot of books, and
Oh,
that's a lot of books. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's doing something right, so it's working
Mhm.
out for him. So for my next read, I gave this a 3.5 star rating. It is the Ever King. Ever King. Um, so this is kind of like pirates meets Vikings meets Fae. So it's a pirate Fae, but it has kind of like a Viking lore to it. Um, so the king, like, of course, kingdoms everywhere, kingdoms.
Yeah.
So there's the Sea Fae versus the Earth Fae. Um, the Sea Fae, they're like in the midst of war. It's like a never-ending war. They hate each other's guts. But there was this big epic war, and the Earth Fae had captured the 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 Sea King's son, and then so this book just started off when they were kids. So the main girl and the main boy, they knew each other when they were kids. The girl would read stories to the boy when he was in, let's just say what it is, when he was in a dungeon. So she would read him stories, and um, it was revealed that she only did that so the boy wouldn't kill them in the future, but you can tell like she had a crush on the boy.
Okay.
But and if anyone was to like ask her, it was just because to prevent any strife between the two kingdoms. Years later, when they're both adults, the earth there's a magical barrier that separates the two kingdoms, and so the now sea king, which is the boy, he can't cross that barrier onto the earth fae kingdom. So the girl, she's living life, she's loved by all. She's like the golden girl. She's the golden princess of the Earth Kingdom. And then suddenly, like, she's swimming out in the ocean, like the part of the ocean where it's okay for them to swim in. um she accidentally touches the barrier, which brings it down, which causes the Sea King to come in and invade. And he kidnaps the princess because her parents were not there. Her parents went off to some um, consulate of the kings, like to talk things through. So when the Sea King, didn't see them, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kidnap her and take and hope that the her parents will come and find her, and then they can like battle it out." Because he still harbored ill will towards the parents. Um, but then, they're on a ship, they're in close quarters. What do you think? Romance ensues.
That's like, you should have a counter for like how many times you see that.
Romance ensues. It's there's like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing happening here. Like, she tries to fight her feelings, but like she can't help like the tingles that she feels. Like, it doesn't help that he's like the most handsomest male in the world. Like she feels this connection with him, and then since they knew each other when they were children, like she thinks that she can get through to him, but she knows that she has to hate him, but she can't bring herself because he has reasons why he's like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I was just like, okay, yeah, I know what's gonna happen. If they're Fae, you already know those are probably going to be like mates, you know? It's not mentioned yet. It's like very slow burn. Like, this is slow burn. Like, there was no hanky panky going on right now. It's not very spicy. Like, I want to say like the will they won't they thing happening here, they did not.
Okay. Did not. Okay.
They did not. It's probably going to be in the second book, which just came out today.
Oh,
the second book just released on Kindle, so I'll probably read that this month or for the next month, because I kind of did like it. I was kind of, when I first read the premise, I was kind of hesitant about it because all the past pirate books that we read,
yeah,
kind of bad.
yeah.
So, but I was like, you know what? I'll give it a chance. The cover's pretty nice. There's a lot of good ratings on it. So, I mean, I got through it pretty quick. Like you said, like at 3, it was like fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not the greatest.
But you still want to see what happens.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I like the crew. The crew really helped a lot. It really added to the plot and to the character, what kind of character the Sea King was. And supposedly this is a spin-off of the Broken Kingdom series, I think it's called. I was like thinking, oh, maybe I should just read that. I'm like, nope, not gonna read it. It's too long. Well, it's like 5 or 6 books, but they're like over like 600 pages. I'm like, Each book was over 600 pages. I think this is only gonna be like a 2 or 3 book series. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stick to this. Luckily, I don't need to read the other series to understand what's going on in here, because it's barely mentioned. I'm assuming, yeah, because apparently the parents of the main character, their story was the Broken Kingdom story, like series, and they were only in this like book for like 5 minutes, and they were out of here.
That's good.
So yeah, so yeah, I would say enemies to lovers, but they weren't really friends to enemies to lovers.
Okay.
Yeah, basically
What did you rate it?
3.5. Yeah,
Okay.
it was the banter that I really liked. The banter, and the author didn't really bring that much of the modern language to it, like the modern curse words. I don't remember reading that, but I liked that. It was dual POVs, so the 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 male and the female point of views. But
Okay.
yeah, pretty good. I think. Yeah, I think I will read the second book of this one.
Nice. So my next book is a 3.25.
Oh, oh. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I get it. I get it. Why that would
So
be.
if Elantris is fine, then this was a bit better than
Mhm.
Elantris. Okay, so like you read this obviously. For whoever's watching, this story is about a princess who is suddenly sent off to marry the god king in another kingdom in her sister's place to help prevent or at least postpone a huge war that would ultimately crush her kingdom. Um, so, however, the older sister goes against her dad's word and tries to save her little sister from what was supposed to be her fate. Um, in this book, we follow each sister, so we have a point of view of each sister. Siri is the younger sister. She's a little more rebellious. Um, and yeah, and then our other point of view is her older sister, Vivenna, who's more like obedient in terms of like, her kingdom.
Like I mean, she wasn't obedient when she
I
when
know when
she.
she went against her dad's word, but like before like her dad sent her little sister away,
Oh yeah,
that was when she was obedient.
she was like the perfect princess.
Yeah. And we follow a we also have a point of view of a god that doesn't even believe in his own religion. And then we have another point of view of a dark and mysterious character who has a sword that has a voice of its own. And so, um, in this world, they use a biochromatic magic that is dependent on an essence called breath and colors. And so the more breath that you have, essentially, the more powerful you are. And you can have more than one breath, but it has to be offered to you to have. Yeah. And so, yeah, so that's Warbreaker. Like, of course, for Brandon Sanderson, it was a very unique world, like nice world building, a unique magic system, um, all that. But again, like the characters did not work for me. Like I didn't care about them. I didn't feel the connection. Like, yeah, he says that the sisters love each other, but I don't feel it until the end.
I
Um,
know they barely interacted with each other in the book.
yeah, like I don't did they interact with
Well,
each
in
other?
the beginning, I think they did when they were like before she was sent off to the God King.
I don't
Um,
think so
like
because like I reread it. Oh, so this book is available on Brandon Sanderson's website for free. So that's where I read it if you guys want to read it. But yeah, like I reread the chapter uh the first couple chapters and I don't think she
does she
does.
not?
She's just swept away. So like um so the prologue was Vasher's point of view, and then
Mm-hmm.
chapter one was the king's point of view of him deliberating to send the eldest daughter or not, and that's when he decides to send the youngest sister.
Then
And then the next chapter, oh, she's being sent off. Like Ciri's being sent off to the other kingdom. Um, but like,
I know it's been a while for me.
um, there was like they did show briefly like Ciri being rebellious in the kingdom and going off on her own,
Your
showing
Siri
like
is on. Your Siri is on.
oh oh I should change her name. So the youngest sister, yeah, she goes off on her own, you know, being rebellious, like showing her colors, whatnot, and she comes back. And she has like an interaction with like one of the kitchen like cooks or helpers,
Mm-hmm.
but she doesn't have an interaction with Vivenna. Um, so I think like what would have sold me was if we started off not with the king's point of view, because I feel like we didn't need that. Like, why do we have the king's point of view? He's only in it, and then we never see him again.
Yeah,
Like, I
that's
feel
true.
like we should have started with Vivenna and like her internal like emotions and like internal thoughts about what's gonna become of her. And I feel like that's when Siri Siri should make dang it should have like a cute sister to sister moment with her before like she's being sent off and she's like, oh, you'll be okay. Like maybe like Siri gives her like a token to remember her by. Maybe it's like something like a carved wooden sculpture of like a bird or something. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
that she hand painted that Vivenna could have used like later on in the book to like spy or whatever. Um, just like a token for her, like as how do you see this? Like it's a sign of hope for Vivenna later on in the story.
Like the Mockingjay and
Yeah, like
and
it's a sign of hope to not give up. And like I feel like if we were given that moment in the beginning and then just Vivenna's reaction to hearing that the king's gonna send her sister instead and like her reaction to it and then her escaping the her kingdom to go rescue her, I feel like I would have cared more. Like I would have been more invested in her and her sister's POVs because
mm,
I would have been like, oh my god, like I would have been like rooting for them. But I feel like without that, like it was hard for me to care. Um, oh, hold on, what did we say? Admit it, the magic here is better than Elantris, though. LOL, like, colors, colors, bitch. Yeah, it was like, yeah, it's better. Yeah, it's definitely, like, better than Elantris with the, but, I know I'm like, okay. And then, yeah, it's just, you lost me with the characters. Vivenna was annoying.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's what I said. That's why I told Lee I
yeah,
hated Vivenna, and he
she
was
was
like,
so pretentious. Like,
This is already
she
my
was,
favorite scream.
what? Like he's
she was, she was so pretentious. She was always like
Hey,
looking
Vivenna's
down.
sick.
What?
he said Vivenna is sick. Like he loves Vivenna.
Oh, love is a strong
Well,
word.
she's an annoying biatch. Okay.
I knew it. She is annoying.
Yeah. So, like, why I
Come on,
think
and
she's
she was
annoying?
badass.
Close it all.
She's
Oh.
pretentious.
I like Basher the most, obviously. Shit. Sheesh.
He loves Vasher.
I mean, obviously. I mean, damn.
I mean, I didn't get anything from him.
Yeah, but yeah, seriously, when I was reading this book, every time he asked me, "Oh, how is it? How is it?" I'm like, I hate Vivenna so much.
She's so like annoying. Like she was always like looking down on like how the people like ate their meals, where they ate their meals. Like, oh, like when she was commenting on like her companion, the one that she grew up with, like how he's not like intelligent or whatever.
Yeah, she was she was looking down at him, and then she was like expecting like her
Yeah.
people, her like the kingdom's people should feel loyalty to her dad. I'm like, girl, they're living in squalor,
Yeah.
and like they feel like they got abandoned. So hell no, they're not gonna feel any loyalty to the king.
Yeah, it's just
I was like,
yeah, she's frustrating. And so like the moment she got humbled, I was like, yes.
I
Like
know. I'm like, finally,
And then
finally.
like yeah, like her companion, remember the
Yeah.
one she grew up with? He was like, "Oh, I'm not really that into you," or something like that
And she
along
got
those lines.
offended. She got
I
offended.
know, I'm like, you're talking trash about him, and then you're like offended that he's not into you. Like, oh my gosh, get over yourself. And then yeah, like when like later she got humbled, and then I thought that was gonna be a huge like character arc for her, but she still kind of seemed the same to me. Oh, except that like her character development was that now she has a sword that she can hold and she wears pants. Oh my god. Um but yeah, it was just like yeah, she's annoying. Light Song, like there's a lot of like nothing going on with his point of view, until like the later half of the book. And like yeah, was like he was witty with his dialogue, but it did not sell me too much. And then Vasher, like I don't know, the only thing interesting about Vasher's point of view was the sword to me. But yeah. Sword breaker.
Warbreaker. Okay, I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I have
Okay,
6.
okay. Please says something else. In Vivenna's defense, her character development does get better in the coming Cosmere if you're interested. We'll see.
I'll see. Okay, so I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, I have 6 more books to go through. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get this done. Okay, so the next book I have is 3.5, and this was a very popular book on Book Talk and Bookstagram. It is The Deal. It's so bright, like the background.
Is it like ice skating?
Yeah, it's a hockey romance.
Uh-oh.
There it is. Kind of. There it is. It's
Hockey romances are trending right now.
yeah. So like red, white, and royal blue. I read this like I think I read this in 2022 and I DNF'd it because I didn't like the way it was going, and then I was like, I picked it up again and I actually read it through and it was okay. Like it was fine. So the deal, it's about um a girl who has a crush on a guy, but the girl doesn't know how to talk to him. So she makes a deal with this hockey player who needs help with his studies. So it's not fake dating, it's more like a student teacher type of thing. Like she tutors him in for school, for ethics class, and then he teaches her how to get the guy. So but the more time they spent together, let's say together, romance ensues. So they get they get together like the first half of the book, and then I think the second half is when like things start happening, but it's more like opposites attract. There are some trigger warnings to this book. um they talk about rape a lot. It sucks, but like it sucks that it happens, but they do talk about that, especially when it comes to drinking and being roofied. Like, so it just teaches. Whoa. Yeah, so it basically,
I would not expect that from the cover.
Oh yeah, no, this was this is an updated edition. Like the cover was totally different from this.
Oh.
This is more friendly. But yes, it does talk about those type of issues, especially in the college scene where parties are such a big thing. But yeah, so, and there's also talks about physical abuse. So there, be warned about those types of triggers. But it is essentially like, I mean, it's a fine book. It's if you're into hockey romance, if you're all about like the girl gets the, or the guy gets the girl type of thing where there's barely any like conflict between the two main characters. It's like it is what it is. Like, you know they're gonna get together. You just have to read about how they get there. And since it is a hockey romances are known to be spicy. But I mean, I would say the spiciness is kind of up there, but I feel like it's not as bad. It's not like red, white, and royal blue.
Like as often?
It's not as often as red, white, royal blue. It's like just like maybe I would say like maybe 2 or 3 scenes of it. And I mean the first time it's always like it's like the longest scene, but then it gets shorter and shorter. It's like, oh, they do it, and then you move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe it's a 4-book series or 5 books. 4 books plus a novella at the end. I was thinking about reading the other books, but I don't think I am. I don't really care for the other plots of the other books. They did have a spin-off. There is a spin-off book that's based on the 2 characters, so I actually might read that. It's about a child. It's about their child and their daughter who wants to become a famous hockey player. Like one of the most famous like women hockey player. I might read that, but we'll see when I get into the mood. But yeah, 3.5. It was fine. Would I read it again? No. I would just Just check that off my book talk list.
All right. So my next read is also 3.5.
Excuse me.
This is one of CJ's favorite authors. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I read Fight Club.
Oh wow, Fight Club.
Yeah. So I remember seeing scenes of the movie when I was a lot younger, but I don't remember watching the movie in its entirety. So,
Oh, that's more than me. I never watched the movie.
like, yeah, I've seen like clips and stuff, but like I don't remember the overall what happened. So, if you don't know, this is a satirical slash
Like,
like
you never watched Fight Club? What? Brad Pitt?
Oh, I never.
What?
So, yeah, like, I mean, since you didn't watch it, like, you could potentially read it and you won't get spoiled.
Well, I mean, I kind of do know. I did get spoiled about what the Fight Club, the end of the Fight Club movie.
Oh,
I
okay
mean,
then.
I kind of know already because I
Like,
figured I'm probably never gonna watch it.
yeah, so, like, I didn't know. I just knew there was a Fight Club, and number one rule of Fight Club is you don't
Don't
talk
talk.
about Fight Club.
Mhm.
And so this is a satirical slash like thriller-esque type of book about a man that suffers from insomnia. And to help with that, he goes to various like cancer support groups and just sits in on their groups. Even though obviously he doesn't have cancer. Um, just like to pass the time and like help him sleep or whatever. He then is introduced to a female character named Orla, and she also sits in these groups and just for the heck of it. And and yeah, and he ends up like trying to work out a schedule with her so that they aren't in the same meetings, whatnot. And then we are introduced to this character named Tyler Durden, who he met through strange circumstances. And through Tyler, they create this club called Fight Club. And it's supposed to be therapeutic in a sense. And so this fight club draws the attention of many white-collared workers, and this fight club like gets big, and there's multiple night or fight clubs throughout, I think, the country, whatever. And so from there, with the success of Fight Club, Project Mayhem is created, and a lot of the people in Fight Club, join this sort of army as Tyler leads it. And it's for like, so Tyler leads them into like strategized chaos, public unrest, and demolition towards, targeted towards the, what did I say, dehumanizing effects of consumerism. And so, like, throughout this book, I had no idea what the heck was going on. Like, we would jump from, like, Fight Club to, like, making soap and stuff. And I was like, dude, what is going on? Like, I feel like I was, like, missing pages. But then, like, once we got to the plot twist, and we figure out what's really going on, that's when everything made sense to me. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it made me think back on everything that happened. And I was like, oh, okay. So, like, if it didn't have that plot twist and I just didn't know what was going on, I would have gave this like a bad rating. But considering that the plot twist answered so many of my questions. Everything made sense. I gave this a higher rating. But I think like why I didn't like watch the movie in its entirety is like read the trigger warnings, but like I'm so like I think I just like discovered this like while reading this book. I don't like watching movies or like reading books that have like excessive amounts of like drugs and like needles and like just like the grunginess of like um all of that. And I don't know, it's just like it irks me just like reading about that stuff. And if you know Fight Club, you know what I'm talking about. um but yeah, that's Fight Club.
Okay, nice. All right, so moving on. My next book, I gave this. Up going to the fours now. This next
Okay.
book, I gave a 4. It is also a book talk book. It is called The Fine Print. The
Oh, yep.
Fine Print. I don't know if you heard about this book.
I've seen it all over Bookstagram.
So, um, it's basically a book about becoming a creator for this famous amusement park. So just think of like, Disneyland creators, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, so it's basically about how a girl, like, there's like this big memo that went out to all the employees, and they were supposed to give them suggestions or criticism, all that stuff. So this girl, who's like very like entry level worker, she decides to answer that, and she basically rants about this ride that's like a ride, like the negatives of it and how it sucks and how it can be improved. And it turns out like the CEO loved her ideas, so he promoted her into a creator. So,
Mm-hmm.
which is like her dream job ever since she started working at that amusement park. Um, so this book is like a CEO billionaire slash boss employee relationship, grumpy sunshine trope, things like
Okay.
that. Not necessarily enemies to lovers, but it's like um, just a lot of just like prejudice against like very rich people and people who are like middle class, lower class. Um, but of course, real good too. So it kind of reminds me of like Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet. Like, she sees the world as like rainbows and sunshine, and he's very like black and white. And so, um, while she is trying to become like a creator, since he's the boss, he has to like watch over her since he was the one who promoted her. And as she every time she has a hard time with her creations, he would secretly like help her so she can succeed in her new job. And then of course they get closer. There's also like this secret identity trope where he pretends to be, when I say he secretly helps her, he pretends to be someone else as he helps her. So Like she is starting to like her secret helper, but she is also starting to like them the love interest. So that makes her confused, like, oh, but who do I like? I like him, but I also like him. And of course, when she finds out they're both the same person,
Oh,
chaos, chaos. But yeah, it's like any grumpy billionaire sunshine trope. Like she fell first, but he fell harder. That type of thing.
yeah.
Um, like I liked it. Like it was. I mean, it was entertaining. It made me want to become a Disneyland creator. It made me want to go back to Disneyland. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it's an adult fiction book, so I mean, of course, there's like spies, there's um, things like that, and oh my gosh, I liked her family, the female character's family. I love them, and I wouldn't say there's much. I wouldn't say there's much of a big trigger warning. It's like those basic things, like you know, there's nothing too bad to warn someone about in this book.
Okay.
It's just basically it's just romance. Like there's yeah.
Straightforward.
Hmm? Like it took me a while to pick this up because like when I first saw it, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, another one." I know those like we have so much like failures when it comes to recommendations from Book Talk and Bookstagram. Like I was so hesitant about it, and then I just kept like it was in my TBR though. I couldn't take it off, and then I was like one day I was like, you know what? Let's just get this over with. Let's just read it, and then I ended up liking it. I was like, okay, I see it. Okay, um,
Nice.
it is a trilogy. There's two other books, different POVs though, but I don't think I'll read it. Um, I was only
Okay.
interested in this one, and I love the cover. The covers of this series is so nice. Um, like wow, it kind of
Wow.
like just looking at it first glance, it just gives me like this gothic medieval feel, but it's totally modern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
That's what I got from looking at the covers too.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Lauren Asher. Dreamland Billionaires. Or Star.
Nice. So my next book is 3.5 stars. I read Tress of the Emerald Sea.
Oh, I wanted to read that. Okay, let's see what you say.
Brandon Sanderson.
I wanted to
You
read it.
might like it. Like, I liked it, but did I love it? No. So, okay, so this is one of Brandon Sanderson's his first secret project that was released last year. This is inspired by The Princess Bride. So this is essentially like a gender swapped retelling of The Princess Bride, but in Sanderson's Cosmere. So there are many Sanderson elements in this fairy tale. So, um, what I liked about this more than the others was that this is one point of view. So I ended up like rooting for the character. So I did care about the character.
So it's one
So,
POV.
yeah, one POV.
Yes.
And it's like it has a more whimsical storytelling to it. It's so the story, you know how in the Princess Bride movie there was somebody reading the story?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this. There's a character that's reading Tress's story to you. So um he'll have comments throughout the story, like his opinions and stuff, and then he'll continue on with the story. So that was new. it was interesting.
Okay.
So, in this book, we follow Tress, who's on a quest to save her love from a strong sorceress. But to do so, she needs to sail dangerous seas to get to the sorceress to save them. And by dangerous, I mean that the seas in this world are made up of spores, not water, so they're spores. And if they are given the right amount of moisture, they can be detrimental. So, for example, if you inhale the spores, you would like die. And like each sea has its own special spore. So, for example, her Emerald Sea, the spores combust into like vines that grow all crazy. So if you inhale it, vines will like grow out of you and you die. There's another sea where I think it was like the Blue Sea or whatever, Sapphire Sea, where the spores automatically combust like an explosion. So each sea has a different spore. And so they need to sail across these oceans with that in mind. And like, yeah. And yeah, so like that's pretty much it. I did enjoy the first 100 pages of the book and about the last 100 pages of the book. Like, I read it fast. Like, it was interesting. It was fairy tale-esque. But when you get to the middle, the pacing slows all the way down. And I'll let you know that we're on a ship. There is a crew. And so, yeah, so the second part, you're introduced to this whole new crew that don't feel quite fleshed out, so you don't really care about them all that much until like later on, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, the middle part of the book slowed it down for me. And this book is like 400 something pages.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, and this edition like had pictures in it, so the artwork was cute. But yeah, like, yeah, I read through the first 100 and the last 100. It was good. But yeah, the middle slowed me down. And I do have to mention, so there's a character that shows up in this book, Warbreaker, and Elantris. And this is probably just me, but I feel like whenever Sanderson is stuck and he needs something or someone to push the plot forward, he throws in this character just to satisfy that gap. And then we never see of this character ever again.
Until probably the next book.
Yeah, like, yeah, we see a little bit of this character in the next book. In this book, he's more prevalent, but I feel like Tress didn't get like the justice she deserved in the end.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yes. No spoilers, please.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Nice. Well, yeah, I do want to read that one day. Okay. My next book, another 4-star read. Another
Nice.
contemporary fiction. Enemies with benefits. It's in the title, Enemies to Lovers. So it's contemporary fiction, romance. So it's about these two characters. They were they knew each other since childhood, but they didn't have like the best friendship. They're more like competitors in life. Like they always had to up one another. And then after like maybe I think it's like 10 years after high school, they run into each other again at this kind of like event business. She's the event planner, he's the caterer for this company. So of course they have to work together, and of course they hate each other, but you know there's sexual tension between them.
Mm-hmm.
And then throw in like a $20,000 bonus, and then competition heats up, and what happens? Romance ensues. But yes, so they're childhood enemies turn lovers. Like when it says enemies with benefits, it's because they know that there's sexual tension between them. So they're like, you know what? Let's just get this out of the way. Let's just bang each other, but not go any further than that. So that's what it is. Like, they hate each other, but they do the bam bam. But of course, it's like every chick flick movie, friends with benefits, no strings attached. You know those movies.
Yeah.
Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, separately, respectively. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so of course they're gonna catch feelings, and um, something happens where they have to something happens which causes their relationship to fracture, and they gotta do what they gotta do to have a happily ever after. So
Yeah.
very cute. I liked it.
Is
I
that
mean,
Kindle Unlimited?
no, it was um it was one of those free books that they offer during the
Oh,
Kindle.
fill your Kindle or something.
Yeah, fill your Kindle. This was one of the only books I saw that I thought I would want to read, so I got it. Um, which kind of sucks because this I do want to read the other books, because like it's like I think it's like a 4 or 5 book series, like of the other brothers of this main characters. Like it's the Loveless Brothers series. So this is the first book in the series. It's about this brother, and then the other books are about the other brothers. I kind of want to read them, but they're not free, so
Oh
kind of
no.
sucks. The one thing, like the one time I actually do want to read the other books, it's not free. So I'm kind of bummed. So I had to wait until they do it, the
Doctor.
other fill your Kindle day. But yeah, I liked it. Um,
Okay.
I'd be pretty happy if I can get the other books. But whatever.
Be keeping an eye out.
I know that's how they get you.
All right. So, okay, finally to the 4 stars. So, first 4 star is Half the
Oh my gosh, I
Soul
love
by
that.
Olivia Atwater.
I have that.
Sick.
Where's it at? I have it somewhere in here. Oh, here it is. No,
Oh, nope.
that's not it. Here it is. Oh my
Um,
gosh, I love this book.
There we go. Half the Soul. This was like, when did it come out? Like 2021, 2022. This is like super trending and popular um, during that time. So this is a cozy Regency romance fantasy about a girl named Dora. She has a longer name. It's like Theodora something something, but for
Dora.
short, she's Dora. Um, and we start off with having half her soul stolen away from her, and because of this, she has one gray eye, and I'm imagining like gray as in like kind of like how it looks like if you're blind, I guess, like
Yeah.
how it's like foggy, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and her emotional intelligence is lacking a lot. But she makes do with this as she grows up. And with her being like this, it's extremely difficult for her to find, a partner, because it's looked down upon for her to have these qualities in the upper class families. So they kind of like, the moms of these families kind of gave up hope on her, and they're more focused on her cousin, who actually and initially saved her from having her entire soul stolen from her. But her cousin's goal is to help try to get the rest of her soul back. So she seeks out a magician in England. They, travel to England, and her goal is to like have him kind of help Dora get her soul back, essentially. So it's kind of like it's like kind of Grumpy Sunshine a little bit, maybe a little enemies to lovers in the beginning.
Or she's the grumpy.
Or no, the magician is grumpy, and she's just like clueless. So there's that. And then when our magician named Elias kind of has an idea that something's up with Dora, he's like intrigued, and he's intrigued because it's like something new that he can like try to solve or whatever. So he kind of gives me like Sherlock Holmes vibes. Like, he's really smart and kind of grumpy and stuff. So he gives me those vibes. But yeah, so they try to look into what's up with her, and then romance ensues eventually, as she helps him with other subplots and whatnot. And
Yeah, I like this book.
Yeah, it was cute.
I want to read the second book.
Yeah, the I forgot what it's called, but it's like a blue one.
10,000 Stitches.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really cute. If you want like a cozy romance, definitely pick this one up. It has a beautiful like atmosphere, like some parts of the book, magical atmosphere, and then we have like the London atmosphere. So if you like those vibes, pick this one up. There's Faye involved. Spoiler. Well, not really a spoiler, because
that's how she got her soul stolen.
Yeah, that's how she got her soul stolen in like the prologue or whatever. But yeah. So
all right, yay! So glad you finally read it. Okay, so that's a good book. My next book, I gave this book a 4.5. I rated it pretty high because I was actually shocked by how much I liked this book.
Shooken.
I was shooketh in my boots. So, oh my gosh, I swear the book talk community is coming in clutch. I don't know. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. You seen this book? It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Oh my gosh. So, look at this cover. It is so cute. It is very what is it? It's not false advertisement. It's very that word, it's it is not it isn't what it seems. Okay? this book was who I went through an emotional roller coaster when I read this book. So I
Okay.
feel like this is what Colleen Hoover should have like she should strive to be like Lucy Score. Okay? So
Okay.
we all know the Colleen Hoover books.
Yes.
We read a few of them separately, respectively. This Lucy Score.
Am I not?
No, you're not. Okay. What I was saying, Lucy Score. I would read her all day. I
I,
like. I feel like. I unpopular opinion. I feel like she's better than Colleen Hoover. Okay, Colleen
mhm.
Hoover is just it's too much. Too much. Um,
She's too. What's that word? She's. I forgot the word. It'll come to me. But yeah, she got canceled.
um, but yes, because like I know like Colleen Hoover, her books like she takes from realistic situations and kind of cranks it up a notch. Makes it really uncomfortable to read sometimes. This
Yeah.
one, Lucy Score, she did the same thing, like takes realistic situations. She puts it in a book, but it's kind of palatable. Like it is palatable. You're like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. Blah blah whatever. So of course there are trigger warnings when it comes to her books. For her, it's mostly it's not as much. It's not that big of a trigger warning. I mean, there's drugs in it. There's I would say there's abuse. There's abuse in it. Um, Emotional and physical. There's toxicity between family members. Okay, so basically, it's about this main character. Oh, I forgot her name. I always forget their names. Sorry, you guys. So she, let's call her Daisy because that's what her nickname is. Daisy. That's why you see daisies here. It's about her.
Okay.
So she arrives at this small town at the behest of her twin sister. This is like a day after her wedding. Like she ran away from her wedding. So she pulled like a runaway bride. But she arrived at this small town because her twin sister called her saying, "Oh, I need help. Can you come and help me?" So she does because she's the responsible sister. She's like the perfect sister. The twin sister is known to be the bad twin, like a wreck. She's into drugs, she gets into trouble, she steals, blah blah blah. She's the bad egg. So she arrives into town, and then soon, like everybody mistakes her as her twin sister, so she's getting all this hate. But then once she explains, like, "Oh, hey, I'm not my twin sister. I'm someone completely different," they're like, "Okay." They give her the benefit of the doubt. Um,
Mhm.
then in comes the male, the the love interest. This is the I wouldn't say enemies to lovers, more like grumpy sunshine trope. He comes along, of course, he mistakes her as the twin sister, and they get into a heated argument, and then he feels this is dual POV. So he feels like, oh, I hate her, but why is she so hot?
Mm.
you know? Why do I feel this attraction towards her? But I hate her and I don't want to deal with her. Um, but yeah, so she finally tries to find her twin sister, or they both do, but it turns out she stole her car. She drives off and she leaves her daughter in her care. So now Daisy is stranded in this small town without money, without a car, and she has a niece that she has to take care of. And
Mhm.
the so now she just goes from there. There's like found family trope kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
She The found family is the town that she gets stranded in. Everyone tries to help her. Everyone loves her now. Of course, there's like the it's not a one bedroom trope, but it's like more like close proximity, with the
Mm-hmm.
love interest. Um, she's she's like learning new responsibilities with her new niece and things like that. I mean, there's a hint of thrills in this book since the twin sister is involved into with drugs. So of course that kind of plays into the storyline. But I don't know. I just flew through this book like it was, I don't know, what's a good simile. um but yeah, uh it was I what is the right word for this? I would say if this was a movie, it would be like a PG-13 movie. There is spice in there, but it's tasteful kind of. I think you wouldn't mind it
Okay.
um if you read it. I don't think you would mind the spice. It's not like cringy to read. Um there there is two other books in this series, the companion books with other characters. I might read them, depends how I'm feeling, but I don't know. Like, it's cute. It's like it's totally, what is this cover called? Where um it totally looks different than what's inside the book, the contents. Uh
I don't know, but I just think don't judge a book by its cover.
yeah. Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
mm,
I feel like I would, I get why it was floating around book talk. It's a pretty good book. I rated 4.5. It's one of my highest reads. Yeah, it's very like, oh, like,
sweat.
yeah, like it's so sweet. Like found family, and um, you got a grumpy sunshine love interest kind of thing. Um, and there's like, it's like cabin, like they live in like this cute little cabin, like fairy tale cabin. I'm like, I want to live there. What the heck?
Oh,
Yeah, with like there's like a library in it, and she makes friends, and the little girl is like a tech whiz who loves helping old people. I was like, oh my gosh, come on. How could you not like this book?
okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, next book is 4 stars. Something that's not sweet at all. So I read Yellow Face
Yellow face.
by R.F. Kuang.
I've seen that around.
Yeah. So okay, so let me just start. So this is about 2 writers. We have Athena Liu, who um okay, let me just say. Okay, so Athena Liu, and then we also follow June Hayward. Um, and they both went to like the same schools for writing and all that. But, after they graduated, Athena Liu's career took off. She got all the good deals. She's got contracts. She's super popular in the media. She's got a Netflix deal. She's so rich. She's so successful. And then here we have June, who is the complete opposite. Nothing became of her works. She, she's, I think, while Athena Liu's career took off, she's stuck teaching writing. And so one unfortunate day, Athena Liu passes away unexpectedly, and June Hayward takes it upon herself to take Athena's manuscript and publish it as her own. And so, I will explain the title. So, the manuscript is about Chinese laborers in World War II, I believe. June Hayward is a white woman. Athena Liu is Chinese. June Hayward is a white woman. She took her manuscript and published it as her own. And with that, she changed her, what's it called, alias or pen name, author name, to Juniper Song, so that it was more acceptable, I guess, marketing wise. I don't know. But yeah, so she published her work. And so how the author made this book like so uncomfortable to read is like genius. Like I was like so uncomfortable. I was hating throughout the whole book you hate the main character. Absolutely hate her. And just like, yeah, the way the author was able to like write her this way, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like talent. But yeah, so like throughout the book, she's trying to justify her choice of like publishing Athena's work, like, oh, like I'm doing her a favor for like publishing like this manuscript that she worked so hard on, blah blah blah. And then like over time in the book, like her reasons for justifying her choices kind of change to the point where she's like, oh, like this manuscript was nothing before I like made some adjustments and like put my twist on it and blah blah blah, like I made it what it was, like I deserve full credit for this book, blah blah blah, this manuscript, blah blah blah. So it's just like it just gradually like gets worse and worse. And then there's like a thriller element to this, which I won't like spoil. But yeah, so there's people said like this is R.F. Kuang's like 2 cents about like how the publishing industry really is, because you see like various interactions that occur between, you know, within the publishing industry that I guess is really realistic and unfair and whatnot. But yeah, this is a good book. I definitely recommend it if, you know, you're interested in that premise. But yeah, good book, good book.
Okay. So my last 2 books were rereads,
Okay.
because I was in the mood for them. So this
The
next
Crescent City.
no,
No, not yet.
no, I will. I've still know enough of the second book, so I should be able to read the third book, no problem.
Okay.
But no. So this book I gave 4.5. I will always give it a 4.5, depending on how I feel after I read it. It is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. I had to read it because the 3rd season of Bridgerton is gonna come out in May, I believe, which is too long, but whatever. So I was just in the mood for Bridgerton, and I just wanted to like just read the story because I couldn't wait till May. But yeah, if you I don't think you watched Bridgerton, right? It's just a Regency era romance series. Each season or each book takes place or is always a different POV of the Bridgerton children. So they're kind of, the Netflix series is kind of doing it out of order. The first two seasons are correct. The third season was supposed to be the third sibling, but I believe that they're gonna make it about the fourth sibling because they made like they made the tension between the two characters palpable between the first two seasons. Like it was needed that they needed to make that. I was along that boat, but I hate the sticker. The book. It's not even a sticker. It's not even a sticker. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it's a Penelope and Colin story. Colin is the fourth. No, technically he's the third child in the Bridgerton family, but it's the fourth book. This is a friends to lovers trope. This is like the main girl is Penelope. She's like a wallflower who's been in love with her best friend's brother since forever. The Colin is like a beloved um, person in society. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone loves him, but so she kind of feels like, oh, I will never get him, but I am content into pining over him. I'm content to being his friend. But then, of course, around the same time, he's starting to see her differently, and she still believes that he will never like a girl like her because she is not of the norm. She doesn't look like she should. She's a little bit more curvier. She's a little bit more heavy. She's has red hair. She's pale. She's short. So of course with that, with I guess there's a bully trope in this story. Like she gets bullied a lot about how she weighs. So she kind of has that. She's kind of has that low self-esteem about no one liking her except her best friend, and like her mother even her not contradict, what is that word, her mother like it's kind of like that feeling where your parents they think they're complimenting you or they think they're helping you, but in reality they're kind of just bringing you down. They're like they kind of just make you feel more bad about yourself.
Okay.
You know that feeling?
Yeah.
I don't know if your parents ever did that to you, but I mean, my mom never did that to me, but I had some aunties who thought they meant well, but actually, they were like, you know, when they're saying, "Oh, look at you gained so much weight, like you look fatter." I'm like,
Oh, that's disclosure. That's how Filipino aunties tend to be.
yeah,
They have no filter.
no filter. They're like, "Oh, you used to be so skinny," or "Oh my gosh, you gained so much weight." I'm like, thanks. I eat. But yeah, kind of like that, except the mom does that. Like, she thinks she's helping her by dressing her in these gowns that clashes with her skin tone, that it makes her look more frumpy in reality. So yeah, so it takes her a while to understand that someone like Colin is interested in her, but it kind of like it takes a while for her to be comfortable in her own skin. So yeah, I was like, I don't like when I was watching other booktubers talk about the Bridgerton series, like I was surprised that this was not like this wasn't well liked as the other series. And I read the other series and I'm like, no, this was better. But you know, I'm a different opinion, so
Yeah.
so yeah. And like every
But
time I read this, it makes me cry. So
oh,
it's like the scene where she's always like when she's like has so much self-doubt and such low self-esteem, I just cry. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's okay, someone loves you, don't worry about it. Who
I hear
cares
you,
about them?
girl.
I feel you, don't care. Who cares about them?
I'm here for you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, another 4-star. I read A Diary of Blood.
Okay, yeah, pretty good book, good choice.
So, yeah, so this is a gothic horror romance
Oh, yeah, this book.
situation. It's a imaginative retelling of the Brides of Dracula. And it's written in the point of view of one of his wives. So it's like it's written in a format where it's a, a love letter that ends up being a confession to Dracula. And so, read all the trigger warnings in this before you pick it up. It is Dracula, and everybody knows that Dracula is very sexual and all of that. He doesn't discriminate. If he finds something sexy, he's gonna go for it. But yeah, so it really, shows this like toxic relationship that they have, and I guess like just how toxic he is and how he treats her and her fellow wife and husband. Spoiler. But yeah, so with that, with that, yeah, it was like really uncomfortable to read in a good way, I feel, because it was written so well. And like the muddy scenes, the spicy scenes weren't like they're readable. If you can handle like the vampire tendencies. But yeah, so they're tolerable. The romance in this it's not so the romance with Dracula in this is not the spotlight. It's the polyamorous relationship that our main character has with the other wife and husband of Dracula. And so it's kind of like a little found family a little bit, and like they all love each other intimately and stuff. So that was like interesting and like kind of nice to read. It's like very unique, I guess, or at least it's unique compared to what I've been reading as of recent. And yeah, like if you have read Bram Stoker's Dracula, I heard that book is made up of letters and news clippings and whatnot, so I could see how this was inspired by that as well. But yeah, this was hard to put down because kind of like you always wanted to know what happened next. Yeah,
Yeah.
here's that.
Pretty good book.
Definitely read the trigger warnings. But yeah, it's definitely like very tasteful, tastefully written
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And like he's not. I would say he's like, yeah, it is a retelling of Dracula, but he's not like your typical Dracula. He just has the tendencies of a Dracula.
Yeah, like I've never read or seen The Brides of Dracula. I've only seen the movie Dracula,
Mm-hmm.
but The Brides of Dracula, I don't know how he's like.
I never watched that.
So
That was a movie.
I, yeah, it's like it's old. I think it was like black and white ish, but it's about the Brides of Dracula and how he hunted for them and brought food back to them, blah blah blah, and how they have their like fun.
The Tryst.
Yeah.
Good book. All right. So my last book of the month, I this was one of the last books I read this month. The but 5-star. It's a reread. Court of Silver Flames. I don't know. For those who don't know, it's a very, very famous book. It is part of the ACOTAR series, The Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book. It is Nesta's point of view, the sister of the famous Farah. And it's very awesome, and I love it. And so the only reason why I reread this book is because my coworker, she started reading the ACOTAR series, and since I only read this once so far, like this ties. Oh, I can't say it. So spoilers. I can't say
I
it.
know what the spoiler is. Somebody already spoiled it.
Okay. Well, anyways, it's like, yeah, it's okay. I guess it's not a spoiler if it's already spoiled on TikTok and Bookstagram, but this ties in with the Crescent City too. So since I didn't feel like rereading the whole series, I decided to reread this book with my coworker. So we did a buddy read together for this last weekend, and I was devouring this book. It took me like a day and a half to read this book because I loved it so much. And yeah, like if you hate Nesta, then you have to read this book because it is awesome. It makes you love her. It's basically if I was to explain this book to a non-ACOTAR fan like you, I would say it's about a girl named Nessa who went through such a traumatic experience that it kind of warps her view of the world that she lives in now. She thinks she doesn't deserve any happiness. She doesn't think she deserves friends or people to care about her. So she tries to like hide those feelings by drinking and by partying and all that, just so she doesn't feel those feelings. But her family is worried about her, so they offer her a reprieve, like, hey, if you do this and this, we won't send you back to the human realm, which she used to be human, but now she's fae. So they're like, okay, you have to train and you have to work at a library, which, come on, who doesn't want to work at a library? And of course she hates it, but she does it because she doesn't want to go back to the human realm, because no one will like her there. Everyone will hate her if she goes back there. So yeah, she molds throughout the whole book. She kind of reinvents herself. She molds herself to be this badass woman who learns to forgive herself and learns to let others in and not to push them away. And all this, like, she learns how to fight her demons without creating toxic toxicity toxic what's that word?
Toxicity.
Yes, that word. Toxicity. And of course she she finds love.
Romance ensues.
And romance ensues. So yeah, it's very like, I feel like whoever like went through a traumatic situation would like love this book, because it kind of takes you to another world, because that's what Sarah J. Maas does. She takes you to another world.
Nice.
Yeah. So now I'm ready for Crescent City 3, and it's coming in 4 days.
Nice. Oh yeah, like a random TikTok I saw was that I think it was like a Walmart that put them out like way before the release date, and like people were getting a copy of the book before like it's supposed to be officially
Ooh.
released. I was like, dang, like it was released like the 13th or 14th of January or something. I was like, dang. I wonder if anybody got in trouble for that.
Probably. I would
Yeah.
like that's a big boo-boo on their part.
Yeah.
Walmart probably got sued by Sarah J. Maas's team.
No, I don't see the outcome. But yeah, so I kind of like rated this series as a whole. So I gave this series a 5-star. And that is Spy Family.
Oh.
We started watching the anime again, and I was like, I want to like actually read through the manga. And you don't know, Spy Family, it's about a spy named Lloyd Forger. And he is tasked with a job to like I guess like try to get close to a certain person of interest that has to deal with like warfare items, I guess. So his task is to like get close to him, and like the only way he can get close to this guy is through his kid that goes through like the top school in, I believe, Japan. And so he has to fake a family and get his kid enrolled in this school to get close to this guy's son so that he can finally like, you know, get close to his target and like see what he's up to. So he he adopts Anya, this girl right here. She was like in an orphanage, obviously, and she has issues with like families keeping her because like what nobody knows is that she's a telepath and that she could read other people's minds, and like somehow like these people don't want her and they keep like throwing her back in the orphanage. And so so it makes you feel for the girl right off the rip. And so when Lloyd Forger goes to this orphanage, you know, she's trying her hardest for him to like her, to take her, like adopt her. And then like so she can read his mind, and so he has like spy thoughts about like killing and stuff. So she's like she's like intrigued yet scared. But you know, she wants him to adopt her, and like he does. And then um and then later on he needs to find a wife, and so he makes a deal with, oh, I forgot her name. He makes a deal with this girl, because like the reason why she agrees to this deal is so that people will stop hassling her to get married and whatnot, and like looking down upon her because she's not married yet and stuff like that. And what the spy doesn't know is that this girl that he made a deal with is an assassin, and she's like one of the top assassins out there. And so yeah, so he doesn't know this, but the daughter knows this. She could read her mind, and she's horrified of her, but she's also like intrigued by her, and she doesn't tell the dad. Like, she doesn't tell each parent who each other is, but like she knows what's going on. So she tries to keep it secret so that her family doesn't fall apart, and she's thrown back into the orphanage. But yeah, it's so cute. Like, it's like found family. You know, they're trying her best. Like, they're trying their best to get this girl into this top school. And, you know, like, she's not the brightest girl out there. Like, so she's struggling at this school, and she's like so lovable. And like um her actions throughout this series is very like believable. It's something you would see like a 4-year-old doing. Like, her thought process and like her actions like would be what a 4-year-old would do. So it's so cute to see that. And then it just starts from there. And so I guess you could say this is like a true enemies to lovers, maybe, because the her parents are essentially like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So they give that vibe. And then on top of that, the mom's brother is with the Secret Service. So they have to keep it secret from him. And like, she has to keep her assassin role secret from him also. So it's like so many like
So many
elements.
secrets.
Yeah, so many secrets. But it's like, it's so funny because like she knows everything that's going on, and she's just trying her hardest to keep her family together. But yeah, Spy Family. It's like, I guess you could say it's like a cozy thriller-esque not rom-com, but like contemporary slice of life manga. So if you wanna give this a shot, it's very popular.
Okay, yeah, I haven't read a manga in a while.
Yeah, it's like the manga's good and the anime's true to the manga. So really cute. So if you're ever down, you want something to brighten your day, just read that.
Okay, Spy Family, got it.
But yeah, it is hot.
Yeah,
So
that was our list. Is that our list? Are you done?
I'm done. So we all good.
Yeah.
So
We read a lot this month.
yeah. But yeah, I was like, oh, might as well just like change it up. So least like to faves for the month, just for people to have that incentive to stay the hour or so to the end. But yeah. So what do you want to do for the spirit of February, Valentine's Day month, in terms of a prompt?
Mm, like, let's see. As for prompts go, I mean, it's a love month,
Yeah.
so I mean, anything goes as far as as the tropes.
Yeah. Like, I was kind of thinking maybe um read until you hit a 5-star romance.
Five-star
So
romance.
read until you hit a 5-star romance. So that's your goal. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a romance driven book. It could be like a subplot
Mm-hmm.
romance that you really love.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of thinking something like that, but I don't know. What do you think? Or if you have any prompts.
Let me see. Cause I would. Let me see. I would probably. I mean, we can do that because it's hard to find a 5-star romance. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this book.
I mean, like, I have
Mm,
anticipated reads that I'm hoping that are 5-star. I mean, if you fail, you fail.
you
Like,
fail, you
I
fail.
mean,
Yeah, that's the hard part though, cause um, finding a 5-star read. Hmm. We can
either a
try that.
5-star read or just like a 5-star couple or a 5-star romance
5-star.
vibe.
5-star.
So the overall book doesn't have to be 5-star, but it's a romance.
Like the couple is, um, if the couple is like they actually like complement each other
And
and not
like,
it's not just like a quick pace romance. Ugh.
yeah, and like it evokes like emotion from you and that you care about them and you know, you want to see them together, I guess.
Maybe.
Up to you. Or we could always pull from the jar.
Okay. Let's pull from the jar, but also do the 5-star romance. So
Okay.
at least it also the jar will also give us a mixture of books to read because you could always like you can find romances in almost not almost all the books but in most books, of course. Like in books that I read, I find romance everywhere.
Okay. How many should we pull? 1, 2, and the Valentine's Day prompt?
mm, let's pull two.
Read a classic.
Like, what do you mean? Like,
A classic book.
okay.
Anything that's considered a class. So
Twilight.
Jane Austen. I'm like, that's not a classic. Jane Austen, Edgar Allan Poe, Bram Stoker,
Okay. I
um,
think I have a few
Wuthering
classics.
Heights.
I think I have a few classics in my library. I haven't read a Jane Austen book in a while. It's been a while.
I know, I have to like find one that I think I'll like. A book with the crown on the cover.
I think that's one of my actually okay. I think I can get one of those.
Or imagine, or you can read a Regency romance classic that has a crown.
Wouldn't a Regency romance not count as a classic if it's not like
I
Jane
think
Austen?
Bridgerton would have been a classic. I feel like.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not a classic?
No. Lee says, is Tolkien considered a classic? I think
would say
so.
that.
Huh? I
I
think
would
so.
say so.
Everyone knows that. No,
I mean,
Bridgerton is too much. It can't be. I don't think it can be considered a classic. Yeah, the books follow as the show, or the show follows the way the book is. So.
okay. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, we'll just like look it up. But yeah, there's a lot of classics out there.
I feel like if the books have been around for, what do you mean? Like, what do you say? Like at least 20 years? 30? It's considered a classic? How long? Let me Google this. Let me see.
So it'd be like books like George Orwell or Canterbury Tales, Huckleberry Finn, Moby Dick, Lord of the Rings.
It's a work of literature that affects its culture.
Dang, Wheel of Time would have been a classic, but
oh yeah,
it's not for me. I already read it though.
I might just stick to Jane Austen. Is Harry Potter considered classic? It shaped the lives.
So.
It shaped the culture in 1990 something.
You can Google that.
I guess The Alchemist is considered a classic.
Dune is considered a classic.
What about Sherlock Holmes?
I think that would be considered a classic. The Sir Arthur Conan Doyle ones, at least.
Yeah.
Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Okay. Ooh, Charlotte's Web.
Aww.
Aww, Charlotte's Web. I miss Charlotte's Web. You know what? I think Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is considered a classic. This is the first book. Oh, Little Women. Matilda! Oh my gosh, I used to love reading Roald Dahl. I don't know how to say that. Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl.
Yeah, Matilda. Oh, I would love to read Matilda. You know what? Howl's Moving Castle. Wouldn't that be considered a classic? Peter Pan.
Sure.
Coraline. Coraline is considered a classic.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? guess it's time to read. What's it called? Is it considered middle grade?
Coraline?
Yeah. Or like books like Harry Potter, Coraline, Matilda.
Um, I feel like it could fit in most categories. Like, I think it could be middle grade and YA. Um, like Howl's Moving Castle, it was both middle grade and YA. So I don't know. Because like Coraline, yeah, it follows I think she's like what, like 12 or something, but there are darker themes involved. So it could be considered, so adults and why young adult people could read it. Um but yeah, it's kind of hard to say. Um but yeah, I will do some looking into and see what I come up with.
I think I have a few ideas now. All right. So what
Yeah.
day are we getting back together?
Um, so February.
So we got 29 days this year.
Ooh. Like the 23rd?
We'll do the 23rd. 23rd. Okay, 23rd.
Yeah. And if anybody in the chat wants to join along. Oh yeah, I have to look up some books with brown. But yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for tuning in or, you know, listening to us rant and whatnot. It's always a pleasure. If you want us to read anything, let us know in the comments or whichever. If you have any comments, not regarding books, just purely like curious, let us know. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Have a nice night.